image of me. In one glance you won't see my true identity. And when our eyes meet, judgments are made. Society dictates how the rules are.
Hi, welcome to Celebrity Apprentice, where my blood pressure keeps going through the roof, and since I don't take pills, I'm going to drink me one of these once a week. I have to do it in order to get through after listening to Lisa Lampanelli rage for 2 hours. Okay, the show starts off. Donald, the Trump, meets the teams at FAO Schwartz, where they are celebrating their 150th year of business. I remember taking my kids there. That was fun. And then Brian Henson, son of Jen Henson, explains the task to them. They are going to be doing the live show Stuffed and Unstrung, and it is a show where you have to do improvisation. So they have to come up with things right off the top of their heads. They have to make 2 puppets and then perform live with the Henson puppeteers. And there's a host, 2 puppeteers, and that's it. The teams are rearranged. Clay Aiken is moved over to Team Forte. Poor guy. That's all I can say about that. And the teams are going to be judged on puppet design, overall quality, and live performance. Aubrey O'Day asked Paul Tuttle if he wouldn't mind being project manager. Paul says, I don't know anything about this stuff, but if you guys don't want to do it, and he says to Mr. Trump, look, I don't care about puppets. I'm doing this because nobody else wants to do it, basically is what happens. Lisa Lampanelli decides she would like to be project manager over on Team Forte, and so it is. In the van, Diana Mendoza says to Lisa Lampanelli, so Lisa, I just want to tell you, I've done improv for 1.5 years, and I can do a Latina speaking type of show. And immediately, I mean without a second's hesitation, Lisa says, I know, but, which is shut down Diana. Lisa's mind had been made up from the second that task started that she was going to shove Diana way off into a corner as much as she could, and she did. So, over on Team Unanimous, Arsenio is going to be a puppeteer, and Theresa is going to be a puppeteer, and Aubrey O'Day is going to host. And Paul is going to sit there because his back hurts really bad, and Paul really doesn't do a whole lot during the entire task. Now, one thing I'd like to point out, in case you don't realize, is that they do their confessionals, you know, where they sit there and talk about the task, after they have done the entire task and know the outcome of everything. So when you're sitting there listening to little Miss Aubrey O'Day speaking as if she knows everything about everything in the world, it's because she's just lived through it. And the way she comes off is like she knows exactly what puppeteering is all about, and the only reason she knows any of this is because she's already listened to the criticisms of the executives, but she speaks as if during the task she knew up front exactly where they were screwing up and she could point it out. That is a piece of editing genius, because it's not true. She didn't know any of these things until after the boardroom. Alright, so over in Team Forte, Lisa has decided that she wants Penn Teller to be the host, and she and Arsenio will be on the puppeteers. She has bound and determined to make sure that Diana Mendoza gets nowhere near a stage. And her big claim is that Diana Mendoza has to be in front of the cameras every single week. And I'm trying to go back through the task and see how many times Diana's been front and center, the star of anything. And frankly, I can't think of one. I really can't. Even when she was project manager, she didn't insist on being in front of the cameras. That is just another one of Lisa's insane, jealous things that she's got going on about Diana Mendoza. I thought in the beginning of the show that Lisa just couldn't stand Diana's beauty, and that was her big raging thing. As time goes on, I'm beginning to think it might have a little thing to do with racial stuff too, because in a recent interview, Lisa referred to Diana with a racial slur, and it wasn't pleasant. And apparently Lisa thinks it's funny, and if she uses racial slurs in her comedy against people, that's okay. I don't think so, but hey. And then during this episode, there were several times where she made references to Diana being Hispanic. When Clay asked her to do the Spanish chick, she said, "Ay, papi, ay, ay, ay," and she was being just ridiculous, actually. And Diana's sitting there listening to this, thinking it's very disrespectful. And then later, when she's talking about how she's going to find something for Lisa to do, she says, "That can keep her ocupado, por favor." And she's making fun of the fact that she has to find something for Diana to do, and let's just keep her busy and out of the way. Now, here's my thing. You're the freaking project manager. It is your job to assign tasks to everybody. It's your job to make sure that everybody is being as useful as humanly possible. And Lisa's idea is just shove her over here so that we can say she's not useful. And Diana's got her nailed. Diana knows exactly what she's doing. Over on Team Unanimous, I'm getting them a little confused. Over on Team Unanimous, Aubrey is being very creative, and Arsenio is giving her props all over the place about what a team player she's being. But she's again, snide as all can be behind people's backs. She's really good at this. And I'm convinced that she makes her confessionals very snide and sarcastic and little zingers here and there, because I think she thought that would go over fantastic with the viewing audience and make her more popular. And I think it's working in reverse for her. Okay, so they go through, and over on Team Forte, Diana's putting together a puppet along with Penn, and they're working, and Penn says, "You know, I know Lisa keeps saying that she is useless, but she really isn't. She's working, and I don't see the problem." And then Eric Trump comes in, and Diana's working, and Lisa, he says to Diana, "How you doing?" Diana's being very quiet because she's been put in her corner by Lisa. Eric asks Lisa, "Well, how's Diana doing?" And she's like, "Well, she did this." That's all Lisa can come up with in front of a Trump. She can't say, "Diana's putting together a puppet. Diana's doing this." Nothing. It's, "Well, she did this." And, you know, she's made it clear to Diana that she's supposed to be invisible. And the next morning, they go to do the show. And they're in the, the green room, basically. And dressing room, whatever. And Clay says, "Well, maybe Diana could like bring the box up. She could do something, because she has been excluded from everything. After she made the puppet, there was absolutely nothing for Diana to do. And that's the way Lisa wanted to be, you know, Clay Aiken and Penn Jillette paying attention to Lisa. She didn't want Diana having any attention whatsoever." So Diana says, "Well, I offered to do this, but she doesn't want it." Lisa goes ballistic and just starts screaming at Diana. Diana's like, "Stop. I'm just saying it's your job to tell me what to do, and I'm just saying I would do this, I would do that. You can't stand not being behind the camera." And Lisa goes off on Diana about her need to be in front of the camera all the time. And I'm thinking, this has not been the case throughout this entire show. Lisa has gone way crazy at this point. And Penn and Arsenio are sitting there like, "Oh my God." At which point, she starts calling Diana a bitch. Now, she went off on Arsenio for calling Aubrey that. But it's okay for Lisa to call other people that. That's, you know, Lisa has free reign, because apparently being an insult comic makes it okay for you to say anything you want to anybody at any time. She made fun of Lou Ferrigno for not wanting to hear her foul mouth. That's not what Lou Ferrigno was saying, Lisa. He was saying that you are disrespectful to people and you treat people like crap. So that's what he was objecting to, was the way you humiliated him in front of the entire team. But Lisa only hears what Lisa wants to hear. All right, over on Team Unanimous, it's not going so well. Theresa is cute, but clearly not getting it. And Arsenio's trying. Paul's on vacation, and Aubrey is being creative and helping Arsenio out. But you know, there's a point to it. It's like where you can tell that Aubrey is sort of like doing just enough to keep her safe, but she's going to hold back now that she's been criticized a little bit. So you can tell before the task even happens that Team Unanimous doesn't stand a chance. All right, so they go on stage. Of course, Lisa and Clay do a fantastic job, and they win the task. We get into the boardroom. Oh, and I want to say, Eric Trump says, I don't think Diana's comfortable on the same team. You think, Eric? Yeah. When you've been bullied, I'm not bullied, I hate that word, and when you have been verbally assaulted week in and week out from the same person who thinks that the louder she screams, the more correct she is, then you wouldn't say much either, you know. So I can't understand why the Trumps can't see what's happening. I just don't get that part. Do any of you? I don't get it. It's like the Trumps are just absolutely when it comes to Lisa Lampanelli, and I would have thought they were smarter than that. So anyhow, they get into the boardroom. Of course, Lisa's team wins, and but before they win, Lisa says, well, Diana didn't, you know, I'm not happy with Diana. Well, she's never happy with Diana. And Diana says, look, it's not about being in front of the camera. It's about being abusive to people and putting people on the side, and then that's just not good business, to be constantly verbally assaulting people, which is what Lisa does. Then Lisa does her usual, if you complain about her, boo-hoo routine in the boardroom. And Donald Trump says, well, I think you're coming off much better than you think. Wrong. She's not. Trust me. Go to Twitter and just type in the words Lisa Lampanelli, and you'll see one tweet after another where people are disgusted with her behavior. Over on the other team, Team Unanimous, they've lost, and Paul looks like he's just given up. Like, if puppets are the best we can do, I'm so out of here. He doesn't fight hard to stay. He says a few things about Theresa, which are true, but in the end, he saves Arsenio, which Donald said he shouldn't have, because the puppets weren't broader. And, like, in the confessional, Lisa says the puppets were supposed to be broader. She didn't know that until after they had that as a criticism of their team, but then she says it as if she knew it all along. So what a joke. So Paul goes home. I don't know. Aubrey, Lisa has gotten worse each week, and she's incredibly jealous of Diana. I don't understand how Diana can hold her composure anymore. I really don't. Diana did cry today, but it's the first time I've seen her do that on the show. But even when it's over, when she's cried, she's walked away, and she says it's just really disheartening to see her disrespect me, and I've treated her well, and she really has. Even when they won, after Diana had been screamed at by Lisa, and Lisa said horrible things to her, Diana said, well, there you go, congratulations, and, you know, she was nice. I would have walked away from Lisa and not said a thing. But Diana's always offering that olive branch, and Lisa's always smashing it down to the ground. Clay Aiken, I think, correctly said that Lisa should have been more open to keeping Diana more involved in the project. Penn Jillette, hang on for a second. Lisa gets me all worked up. Penn Jillette said that, correctly, that Lisa has misnamed Diana's abilities, and they wanted her to be more involved. Clay thinks that Lisa is jealous of her. I would say so, but I also think that she just doesn't think very highly of Latinas, or at least she is not very respectful of them, at the very least. Aubrey looks better than Lisa this week. Arsenio looked good. Clay looked good. Penn looked good. Penn and Clay worked well together this week, which was nice to see. At the beginning of the show, Lisa had issues with Clay, and I'm going to show you a tweet about what Clay tweeted about Aubrey because he wasn't very pleased with her. These charities have got to be so embarrassed by Lisa and Aubrey. At least I would be if I was the charity. All right, well, that's my rambling about Celebrity Apprentice. Tell me what you think, because these people are nuts. Nuts. This is celebrities. They're supposed to have some kind of... I don't get it. I don't get Lisa at all. I don't think her career is being helped at all by this show. All right, I'm out. Good night.
The world has an image of me. In one glance you won't see my true identity. And when our eyes meet, judgments are made. Society